I started picking up brochures, and I was just gonna grab brochures and leave, and they said, "Are you finding everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm Tabitha from Graham County, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff over here that I don't have, and I need to contact them." "Oh, well, Tabitha, let us take you around." And next thing you know, I'm being escorted around, and they were nothing more but just fabulously nice, to the point of, "You need this? We'll just give you the template. Take off our logo, put your logo on, boom, you've got a publication." I couldn't believe the generosity and how willing that they were to share with us. So even from trying to get some of us together maybe in a workshop meeting, they have a walking tour of the historic district. We could have a walking tour. You know, there's people that know some history about certain buildings, that there's heritage travelers that they like this kind of thing. So I really loved that. Restaurants and nightlife. The nightlife can maybe be taken off, but they've got the maps on here, and it's not just theirs. They feature our restaurants too. The shopping district. More of our people are on this than their people are, just about. When you pull in all of our artisans and the artisan places to go look at their workshops and whatnot. So she said, "Move your people first and put my people second, boom, you got a shopping guide." I mean, they were just ATV trail system, John. I want
Awesome.
you to take a look at that, because that's something that we might be able to get to Barry and you and Montana and some of the other resorts that kind of going over
And
flood.
the infestation.
A flowering bloom guide. This is very pertinent to this time of the year right now. There's tons of people that love to come and just look at these beautiful flowers. So again, just easy as she said, take off their logo, put my logo, then you've got us a flower guide. This is amazing. Waterfalls. Again, they've got some of theirs, we've got some of ours. They've got a deep creek if we ever start getting through town. They've got fishing guide. I love this one. Rainy day activities. Who doesn't need to look at that just themselves right now? Scenic drives for all seasons. These are our drives. It's not really their drives, it's our drives, but they market it. So it's just fabulous pieces that they've been really sharing with us. The horseback riding. So a great partnership that I made. I've got 3 more racks of brochures. We've called a lot of those people. They've already started sending them in the mail. More publications for our center, things that are close by that I want to do that we didn't have this in our center for the longest time. So just a great partnership developing there, and I hope to feed that and allow that to grow. So that's really good. Some good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and let Vice Chair Billy call us to order. We're just missing Connie today. And Harold's not here.
Order, and that way we'd sort of be scanning the minutes right quick before we do it out loud reading. Okay, today is Thursday, April 11th, 2013. This is a meeting of the Graham County Travel and Tourism Board. Present is myself, Barry Levy, John Powell, Devonda Williams, Darlene Waycaster, and Howard Rogers will be here momentarily. We're at the EMS building. On the agenda today is review and approve minutes, financial report, old business, new business, any other business the board deems necessary, public comments, guests, and adjourn. I have a motion to approve the agenda as written. All in favor? Done. So if everybody, while we're waiting on Howard, can join us quickly, sort of scan them.
Billy, would you like me to go ahead and start reading?
Just bring your own date, we do have some items to do checks. We got some tickets.
Please, Howard.
Okay. Minutes of the meeting, Graham County Travel and Tourism for Thursday, March 14th, 2013. The Graham County Travel and Tourism Authority Board met Thursday, March 14th, 2013 at 3 p.m. at the EMS Facility Conference Room, located on 70 West Fort Hill, Robbinsville, North Carolina, 28771. Board members present were Billy Ditmore, Vice Chair, Ravonda Williams, Barry Levy, Harold Rogers, Darlene Waycaster, and John Powell. Call to order by Vice Chairman Billy Ditmore at 3 p.m. Agenda reviewed and approved. Minutes for February 14th were read and will need to be put on hold for Billy Ditmore. Rebecca Garland gave the financial report. Rebecca reported we are operating at a surplus and well within budget. She also recommends that we start a reserve fund since we will, number one, start a building project in the near future, and number two, for long-term planning. Referencing old business discussion, the business meeting was postponed. The building meeting was postponed due to snowy weather and will be rescheduled. Discussion ensued about the plot of land near United Community Bank and the challenges it presents. There was also discussion on the plot of land between Main Street and Ford Street where a conceptual sketch with fire tower had been produced. Board members will continue discussions with county attorney and building inspector. Board members set a date to walk the site. Following up with the street dances, some of the board members thought they had already voted not to support the dances. Some of the board members remembered not wanting to spend as much money on the event. Ravonda encouraged getting local business members involved. New business discussion moved on to the consumer show schedule, and Tabitha gave feedback about the shows to board members. The Charlotte Boat Show, Charlotte Motorcycle Show, and the Spring Home and Garden Show were discussed. Tabitha would like to do some training with the hotel and restaurant staffs, encouraging a great experience while visiting Graham County that will bring them back again and again. She will touch base with some of the owners to see if she can be invited to speak at their staff meetings. Harold Rogers brought a request from Connie Orr. Brad Hoxick with Cherokee Whitetail Hunting Preserve on Etoa would like to attend 2 shows at the price of $1,600. He filled 81 rooms last year. He would represent Graham County as well as his business at the shows. Discussion ensued and the board wanted to table the issue until they could research and review. John Powell brought up the possible land for ATV Jeep use, the possible Beach Wilson property. This piece of land sold last week. Ravonda expressed interest in the Forest Service trails managed by our county, and discussion ensued about the possibility of cleaning up and opening some of those trails. John Powell shared where he had met a man at the Indianapolis Motorcycle Show that might be a resource to us about opening some of the trails if monitored correctly. John has a future meeting with this man. Rick Davis mentioned the meeting currently being held where discussions on reevaluation and trail planning are occurring. Andy Cable and Teresa have attended some of those meetings. He also encouraged TNT to capitalize on the new Santilla Bike Trail system and the delayed harvest program. During the public comment section, Rick Davis from the GREAT organization brought before the board the idea of a comprehensive strategic tourism plan. Beth Fields chairs the GREAT Tourism and Mountain Cultural Committee. This committee has the same goals as Travel and Tourism Board, and he would like for us to pool our resources and work together. He believes if all the groups, Travel and Tourism, Chamber, Town, County, and Tribe, come together, we could make a strategic master plan. Having this partnership will allow for more grant opportunities for all the organizations involved. Rick also shared that one of the components of the Reimagining Robbinsville study was to promote tourism. But in order to do that, a marketing study on tourism needs to be accomplished. Prior to the planning phase, you need to have the data, and currently no one has any compiled data. Beth Fields from Stocoa Valley addressed the group about the possible comprehensive statistical study by Eastern Carolina University, and there is the website. She told us about the components and how they obtain the data. The $2,200 fee could be a cost share between all tourism partners in the county, Travel Tourism, Graham County, the town of Robbinsville, and the Chamber. Once the data is collected, they give us a report with all the data. This report could help all the diverse accommodation partners and attractions market to their clients and garner to folks who have never marketed to before. Darlene Waycaster from Fontana Village Resort offered to pay any deficit and the $200,000 fee because she feels this is the information the village and county needs. Ravonda Williams made a motion to support the study with a cost share amount of $550. John Powell seconded. Motion passed. A motion to adjourn was at 4:40. This meeting can be viewed in video form there's a YouTube link there, and we've got places for everybody to sign their names. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Hold on. Everybody had.
Anything? Great.
That's good.
Motion to approve.
No motion.
All in favor? So approved. Okay, we'll go on now to the financial report on good for today.
Okay, I'll direct your attention, I gave you the occupancy report through today. You'll notice that there's quite a few blank spots where we have some folks who have not filed even their zero reports. So I spoke with Tabitha yesterday, and she and I and Joy are going to, probably in the next week or so, throw out letters reminding everybody that even though it's the off season or has been the off season, that you should be filing your occupancy tax reports. And probably we're going to try to go through the list again just to verify that everybody that's on the report are still in business, and if they're not, we need to seek them out and make sure and get their closing documents. So, as always, this report is always in flux. So, but I do feel it's really important that we throw these reminders out because the season is beginning, and if they've gotten out of the habit of filing, we don't want them to forget that they need to be filing and filing timely. And in conjunction with that, if it's pleasing with the board, we will be sending those penalty notices out as well, so that'll just kind of spur the reminder that, you know, if you don't do what we ask you to do, we're going to enforce penalties.
What is the penalty?
If you fail to file a zero report, it's about $5.
It's a joke.
Yeah, but that's about what the state will hit you with on your sales tax.
Right.
If you if you fail to file with a balance, then it's about 5% of the balance due. So the minimum penalty is $5.
Okay.
So I mean, it's up to the board if they want to tweak those penalties. But it was interesting the last time we did this. We got several little checks in the mail and people calling and saying, oh goodness, I didn't understand, I didn't realize. And we always reply, well, you know, if you'll read your letter where you were opened up, you'll see.
If the penalties are higher, they'll pay attention.
They'll pay attention more. So that's up to the board, whatever you guys want to do. If you want to bump those up, we're perfectly willing to assess them.
Do we have any guidelines on what we can bump those up to or not? Is there a limit on that, or can?
It's basically up to your local board, okay? The statute is pretty, we can do pretty much whatever the state of North Carolina does on sales tax. The only thing we can't do, North Carolina can come and shut you down if you don't pay. We can't do that.
Yeah.
But we can initiate legal action.
Yeah, we put lanes.
Shut their website down, can't
Yeah,
you?
and you can shut the website down. We can do pretty much everything up to shutting the business down, which Department of Revenue can do that. It's, you know, whatever this board wants to do. If you guys want to talk tightening up or strict, you know, being more stringent with the penalties, you know, we'll do whatever the board's pleasure. Just looking at the financial report, this is updated through today. The cash balance on the front page as of March 31st was $64,277. This time last year, the cash balance was $36,112. And then I always bring it forward to the day of the board meeting. We've got right at $48.94 in funds that will be deposited or have been deposited in April. And then I've got to pull the February and March salaries out. And you'll notice March salaries appear to be higher. That's because we had 3 pay periods in the month. And then we've gotten about $8,100 in bills in. Part of that is our audit fee. The accountants just have gotten us billed. They got behind on their billing during tax season. And then we've got a couple of bills for advertising. 3 bills actually for advertising. So our total cash available is $52,148.51. For the fiscal year, which will end June 30 of 13, we have collected $97,105. This time last year it was $92,513. So we are tracking ahead of last fiscal year by about $4,600. Our expenditures this year are about $41,670 less than this time last year. And you'll see where it is if you'll flip to the 3rd page. Our total expenditures for the year to date through March 31st are $97,450, of which $47,050 is for our advertising and promotion. That will include Tabitha going to the motorcycle and the shows that she went to during the winter months, plus our print ads, our website costs, that kind of thing. We have a budget in that line item of $104,000, so you have about $56,000 available in the budget to spend. Right now, the target, so that we would not go over budget, would be we would have expended 75% of our budget. We expended 60%. So you will have some reserve. Either if you've got some expenditures you need to make by the end of the year, you can include those, or you'll have some reserve to carry over into next year, so that you can put that money into some other projects.
Can we use that surplus money to go towards our building fund?
You can designate
I
part of
think we
your,
ought to go ahead and start a
Yeah.
savings fund or a
Yeah.
building
Uh-huh.
fund. and
We
start
got that
setting
kind of
money
money.
aside.
The
Right.
fiscal year's about ready to end.
Exactly. I
2
don't see you
months.
spending it all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can set up a capital reserve fund, which is no problem, and then you could make that as part of your budget to go ahead and put an infusion in there. And then probably what you'd want to do is just budget a monthly amount that we would just transfer into the reserve fund toward your building. So I probably will have to make a couple of minor budget amendments at the end of the year just to shift money between personnel versus administration versus promotion, just because of the audit report. So that's just kind of an internal accounting item. You are at a small, tiny deficit at this point at $294. And that's just because during March we paid a lot of bills. As Tabitha rolled out all those motorcycle shows, she was gone about every weekend there for probably 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and all those bills came in. But I haven't looked at I haven't seen what the budget is for each show, but it appeared like she made some pretty frugal decisions to save money for the agency or the authority, so which helped your bottom line there. Hopefully we'll be seeing receipts pick up beginning this month. And I have seen a few. I got a few more envelopes in this afternoon. I didn't have time to open them, but we're hoping that we're going to see a higher amount in collections for the month of April. Well, that's what we like, keep those cards and letters coming. Any questions from anyone? Okay.
I do have 3 sets of minutes,
Yes, I was going to ask you that.
and I'll put a note right down here to get those signatures so they
Yes.
don't forget.
Yes. 'Cause
finance officer needs those.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Becky.
Uh-huh.
We will move on to some old business. And, something else I'd sort of like to put in the old minutes, or old business here, is that was in our minutes was, that John brought up the ATV thing, trails, and so if everybody wants to pencil that in, and just put that, because we had a conversation with Lauren Stoll, the Forest Service, this past week, so.
Yep.
I think it's very worth looking into here. Old business. We'll rent the visitor center first. So, everybody want to give us up down the visitor center thing? We went and, I guess, who all was there that day? Me, Vonda, John,
I was there.
Tabitha.
Building inspector.
And David Hyde. We actually went and walked the lot we thought, or were told, I guess we could use as unbuildable. But we did talk to Pam at the bank. We had David with us. We walked the lot that they currently own. Talked to her about the prospect of maybe using that lot. She seemed interested, but she'd have to get more information and stuff. We sort of plotted out everything, checked all our lines, power lines, sewer lines, water lines, offsets, everything. It's actually a really pretty lot, and, be a really good lot, and so everything would be a go on that if, the bank stuff goes through, but I believe we're still waiting on a response from that. Have you heard anything from
Well,
Pam on
no,
that?
you thought the commissioners were aware of the plans we had. I asked Kim Chris to be certain,
Uh-huh.
and she wasn't sure and hadn't had time to look through the minutes. So we're on the schedule to see the commissioners on the 22nd, just to make sure they're aware of our plans and they're on board.
Right, to build a
And
visitor
then
center.
to build a visitor center.
Yeah.
In the event that we have to borrow money, I'm not gonna get
Yeah.
this.
No.
What Pam wanted us to do was to get a letter of intent
Yeah.
written on.
Yeah, I'm
Probably
pretty sure they are, because
on
Connie's the
county
one that,
letterhead.
yeah, Connie's the one that brought that up, so.
Well, Kim wasn't sure
Yeah.
and couldn't remember from the minutes,
Has
so.
Pam thrown any numbers at us as far as?
I'm sorry, Becky, go ahead.
I just wanted to address, if you borrow money because you are a government authority under the local government commission, and it's just so you can kind of know this in your timeline, we will have to make an application to borrow the money, which will have to go before the local government commission board. So it usually takes, from what they tell me, about 2 months from the time you make the application to be on the board meeting for them to approve it. So you're in good standing with the local government commission, your audit's in, and, we don't have, as far as I know, there's no outstanding issues with them. But you'll need to kind of consider that in your timeline as you're talking with the bank, and also as you're deciding how you're gonna time, if you're gonna do construction or what you're gonna need. So I'll need a lot of details,
Okay,
as you flesh this out.
okay. Yeah, we're just in the talking phase
Yeah.
right now. We don't even know if it's a feasible lot yet or not. But, thank you for that, because I just about forgot about that, Anyway, and Connie is the one that brought it up, so I hope they know, but we're gonna make double sure, so that'd be good to get something in writing. So, that's sort of, I guess, where we're at on that. Down here is also, we'll move on to raising restaurant sales tax and/or occupancy tax. Somebody else may want to take the lead on this, because I'm not sure.
I
Wow,
talked in
this is
front of the
something-
commissioners 3 months ago, yesterday. Haven't heard nothing, so I don't know what the process is there.
I was told that we needed to vote on it in our meeting and then give them a written resolution of what we'd like to do so they can vote on it.
Who? The commissioners?
Commissioners.
Then we need to do it. I thought we
Did we
did
get
that.
that? Yeah, we did that already.
I mean, it's been 3 months.
I don't think you gave them a written resolution where you passed it in the minutes, so we've got to vote on it here. You've got
Well,
to
we
draft
already
the
voted on it here.
resolution, and then we have to get it before the commissioners. We have to go before the commissioners.
Well, that would definitely be something good to go, to take with us when we go before them, to tell them we want to build a new building. If we pass this resolution to raise the tax,
Yeah.
that'll bring us in extra revenue.
Okay, so for the resolution, you need to vote on what percent do you want the restaurant sales tax to go up? Or is that something that you
Thought we
wanted to go
did.
up?
It'd be 1% restaurant, 3% occupancy. That's within the state guidelines.
So do I hear a motion for the first sales tax to raise that by 1%?
I believe we already did this, I'm pretty sure. Does anybody else remember that?
It was all via
We voted on
email.
that?
It was all email, and I'm the one that said I didn't know that you could do it. Fontana's already paying 6%.
It's not gonna
charging
affect you,
6%.
you're already paying 6%.
So,
It won't
You're
affect
at
you.
the highest you can be at.
so, I mean, that was my
Right.
question. I didn't know that if it would, but we just did it all via email. We didn't do a real vote.
Actually.
Yeah, we didn't do a real.
Yeah, it won't affect you at all. The only part that affect you is the 1% restaurant tax.
So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Is the occupancy tax gonna be 3% or is it being raised to 3%?
It's gonna be raised to
Just
6%.
6%.
It's 3% currently, Becky.
I'm sorry. And I didn't know if this is just a point of information. You folks probably already know this, but I think the town of Robbinsville is in the process of enacting their own occupancy tax of 3% for anything within the town limits.
Well, that's something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just for your information.
About that before they.
Yeah, that would be- yeah.
Us, you know, it affect all the
Right, and
stuff, yeah, so.
Yeah, but they have to set up,
yes, they have to set up their own travel and tourism authority.
which is crazy.
So it might be of interest for maybe some of your board members to seek out their board members.
Yeah.
Because it may, just for
definitely.
information.
Yeah, when did
I
this
just
happen?
I just found out about it myself. I
Really?
just got
Okay, because
wind.
I know that, I don't think have they talked to any others about this? No, they've not talked to, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just got wind.
Okay, well, we'll definitely check into that,
Yeah.
because that's information that we should have had
Yes.
probably beforehand.
Yes.
Well, I ought to get ours approved first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got, votes, seconds passed on that. I want to go on to the ATV thing, and I'm gonna let John have the
Oh,
floor here.
wait, before you go on, the occupancy tax, who did the motion, who seconded it, and who did the vote on it?
Did the motion, I second.
That was for sales tax. I need to hear a motion
We
on
did-
the occupancy
we did that.
tax of 3%.
I thought it was all together.
Okay,
Yeah, it was.
If you wanna split it up, that's fine.
okay. Well, if it's split up, one can go if they want to vote on that and say yes, and then the other one can be no, if they don't want to do that one, because they're the county commissioners and they're gonna go to their constituents. So if we put it as two separate ones, one might have a better shot of going in by itself, where they might want to look at the other one. That's
We
why I
understand
wanted
what
to do
you're
this too.
saying. And John, do the second occupancy tax. I hear a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second, all in favor? Okay. Now, going on to the ATV thing, which I think this could be a huge thing for our county, especially since a couple of the counties around us have actually lost theirs. And if you read in their papers and stuff, it costs them millions. Now, a lot of people that used to go to Cherokee County, stuff like that, they're looking for a place to come ride. When Teleco RV shut down, it cost Cherokee County millions upon millions upon millions. Anyway, I think this was something that would be good not only for locals, but for our tourists. And so, John, you want to tell us about your discussion with Lauren?
Yeah, I just broached the subject with Lauren, and she indicated that that the Forestry Service is currently reviewing their land management program for the next, I think it's 5 or 10 years, I'm not sure. So this is the perfect opportunity for us to pursue some sort of ATV off-road vehicle program for Grant County. And it's true that there isn't anywhere in the area that really has a permitted ATV area that's managed other than over in Silva, that Wyoto area. And, so if we can do this, to try and, duplicate what they're doing in West Virginia or in Tennessee or down in Georgia, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to come up with something. Obviously, their first choice is to do private land, so we should look at somebody that's got private land if you're interested. But as a secondary, to try and work with the Forestry Service, and of course, they threw up some objections of, well, it's gonna cost us a lot of money, and, it may cost a lot of money if you think in the terms of the way that the forestry or government operates, but if you think in the terms of an entrepreneurial, approach where we actually charge for an ATV permit, whether it be $200 for a season or,
$5 a day.
I'd
That's
make
what's
it more than that,
in
because it's worth it to a lot of people.
Yeah, but that's just what the average is. When I went to that, when I go to Teleco, it's all $5 a day.
Okay.
per thing, so.
Isn't that about what they get on the Raptors? Don't they get like $3 a trip on them, something like that?
I just know they just have to, it was a neat little setup. They would have, it was an unmanned thing, and they basically had a thing where you got these envelopes, and it had a stub you tore off of it, and you'd put your $5 in, sealed up, you'd tie off your stub and carry that with you.
Kinda like the campgrounds.
Yeah, so, I mean,
We
Yeah.
also had the technology talk about that GPS kind of thing, because that way we could monitor.
Correct. I mean, this is kind of taking it from a 50,000, view, looking down at what we would do as far as how to manage this. I think the biggest problem with ATVs or any off-road vehicle is how do you govern, who and where they go. And there should be some way, such as these little these GPS tracking systems that are around $100. You can get them if you buy enough of them. And you would issue those out. They would come to some designated,
Boat shop,
could be,
yeah. They
somebody.
sell license.
That's right. So they go there, they check one of these things out, they have it for the day, they have to affix it to part of the ATV, maybe with a seal or whatever. They go for a ride. Somebody would have to manage that. It would have to be a trail management, person that would go.
Wayhutta has a club
Do they?
Yeah.
that
A lot of them
just
do.
that works on their trails.
yeah.
There you
They
go.
The
camp
clubs
there
do
on
it
weekends
for free.
and
A
whatnot.
lot of times, like Southern Off-Road, and several clubs used to work on Teleco. Not Southern Off-Road come in a few years ago, dying for a place to ride. Several other things, you can even have local clubs do it. I mean, it's a.
That's the way the
it's a-
sponge is up there. They've even
Yeah.
got a little dozer. We worked on those trails,
Mhm.
2 different contracts, and used their dozer.
Uh-huh.
And they were there, they rode along with us, and they said, here's a place that the water comes across a lot, here's what we want y'all to do. So they were real helpful.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the Forest Service depended on them to kind of
Yeah.
govern those trails for them.
Yeah, pretty much what they do is they turn it over to them.
Yeah,
And they do all the maintenance on it. They mainly get off donations and fees and stuff like that. Because a lot of the clubs you enter, like the SCCA, when you join the SCCA, you pay a fee. And that fee goes towards the things they do. It's the same way with these clubs, it's the same way with bicycle trails and stuff too.
If we did the GPSs too, another thing is we would know what trails are being used most often, least often, how long people are using them. It would tell a lot about what's actually going on out there and help us
You'll
market
get
it even
feedback from
better.
the people too.
Yeah.
Because the first thing they do is when they come back, they talk about what they liked and didn't like. Like, I love that trail.
Right.
I had a display of all the the whole county Forest Service maps, county maps on the wall. And I looked at those things for days and days and days trying to come up with a feasible place. That's gonna be a difficult thing,
Okay.
especially private.
Mhm.
well, the thing about private land, I know because we have the track at our house, is a liability issue.
Yeah.
That most private landowners would be apprehensive about.
And a lot of the trails are actually Forest Service run. It's on Forest Service land. Is this one on Forest Service land?
Wait,
Yeah.
they-
So most of the ones I know are actually not on private land. They're on public lands, or on government land of some sort.
I think if
No.
Lauren had something to go to Asheville with a really comprehensive plan of we've got GPS, we've got tracking, we've got pay, we've got accountability, we're gonna be monitoring, I think she's gonna be more successful in being able to open up our trails, or for this month, we're gonna open up this section of trails, the next month we'll move over to here and maybe kind of be able to rotate it so the erosion and what they call damage might not be so bad.
We can explain it to you later on some of that.
Okay.
You know, but, now, am I correct in thinking that at one time, several years ago, however you probably remember this, you know, at one time was the Forest Service not talking about giving us 100 and some acres, maybe somewhere over in Steeple, Sawyer's Creek, something like that, to do something like this with? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
There was something of that nature. I have tried to look that up. It was, 20 years ago probably now. But someone was offering to give us a piece of land to do something like that on, and I can't remember if it's a Forest Service or a
There was a
private
gentleman
landowner or
once upon
something.
a time that wanted to do some handicap things. It was about 100 acres, and I remember there about a trail system for their wheelchairs and different things to be able to,
That
and I
would
wanna
be-
say it was on that side of the mountain.
That would be neat. This was for ATVs, but if you can,
Okay.
please hunt that up. That would be something that would, be nice too.
What's the
Okay.
next step, do you think, John, in our making this relationship and trying to help her and helping us in the county?
Well, what they asked for was, again, just a thumbnail sketch of what we see as a operating system, and try to make it not a financial burden for the Forestry Service, since they're pretty strapped, according to them. This would also be a good way for we could put it upon the ATVers or that trail management in order to be more involved in, again, monitoring what's going on in the wilderness, and, making sure that the erosion's being checked, and, that we go back and
Tree limbs, down trees.
yeah, clear
Go
Forest Service
through.
roads, just do the maintenance that they're now,
I think they'd love to
burdened
do
with.
that. And another thing that used to be a problem was people getting off trail. I heard that a lot. People would try to make their own little trails and stuff like that. And a lot of that problem's solved too.
Well, that basically is what stopped, put the gates on the Forest Service roads.
Yeah.
That's where the GPS tracking mitigates that, and if somebody gets off and they go and wanna do their own exploration, when they come back, they turn that
They
in,
got
Pay
fined.
for it.
they get fined. So
I think
it'll
a lot of
stop that.
that's fixed anyway, because what people have come to realize, and people police themselves, because I was over at, it's over in Tennessee, Windrock. But I actually saw people getting on to people just for trying to, what they were doing was turning around the trail. They were making their own little turnaround. And people, what they've realized was, this is what got this shut down before. This is what got this shut down, this is what got that shut down. And now they're really strict about staying on the trail because they don't want to lose any more riding areas.
What really
And so-
set this off was those dune buggies years ago.
Yeah.
They didn't want us to go to the road, they could get out of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where the greatest amount of environmental damage does occur.
I don't know if you can take a dune buggy on White Hut, can you? I don't know if those trails are wide enough. I know we had to
Maybe
rent
some of
special
them, but
equipment that was narrow for those. Would it be premature to maybe put an ad in the paper or something for interested ATV riders to let the Travel and Tourism Board know, or call you
We
or
can
something?
do that, or
and
we
just
can
kinda-
try it social media wise. It's up to you guys as
Oh,
to
there you
what
go.
you
hold
would
on
like
to
to
that.
do.
Finish what you were saying there, Ms. Lloyd.
To just to see, and that way we
What
can
the
go to
feedback
Lauren,
would be.
see what the feedback would be, and then we can go to Lauren and say, we've gotten 48 responses that are interested in possibly forming a club that would work as the maintenance club,
Yeah.
and let them know that we know how some of the other trails work, and that that's what we want to do.
We could do that, we could contact some of the people we already know, like Southern Off-Road and stuff like that, and say, hey, if we get an area, we count on them for some support and trail maintenance and stuff. But I think that wouldn't be a problem at all. I think we have enough just local people here that would be willing to work on it.
Yeah, I do too.
Just as again, a little bit more high profile polling would be to go to the Tail of the Dragon website and just put something out there. We did a ride for kids several weekends ago for children that are disenfranchised from their imprisoned parents and everything. And we put out a flyer on Tail of the Dragon, and I was getting about 5 to 1,000 responses. When it hit the Tail of the Dragon, it was 10,000 within 2 days.
Yeah.
So if we, can poll that many people that quickly, then you chose some.
I think that's the
Immediate
best
interest.
idea. It's just something we can do to just throw it out there, and see.
Yeah, they've gotten such a broad
Base, my
base of,
goodness.
coverage, and most people that ride
Motorcycles.
motorcycles have ATVs.
That's a great idea. So would the
Okay.
board like for me
So-
to contact Ron and Nancy Johnson to see if they might be able to help us?
Want to make a motion to put that, ask contact, Ron, Nancy, see if we can do this. I don't think that they'd have any objections, but just to know.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Okay. Let's go on some new business. What do we have down here? We have shows, Southern Women's Show, April 26th through the 28th in Raleigh. And who's going to that? Is it?
It is actually going to be myself, and I had a conflict with the person going with me. They had a board meeting, so
Uh-huh.
Steve is going to be going with me on that one.
Okay,
But
good.
again, it'll help us save some cost because only one room versus two.
Yep.
And the great thing about that is I've done triple duty on this show. We have a meeting with the Department of Commerce after the Monday morning managers meeting. And I've already had responses back on the managers that aren't going to be there, that they're sorry, they're gonna miss me, and they're looking forward to working with me, and they're looking to hear some feedback, and here's what they do. Just really nice to be able to make that relationship with the Department of Commerce and strictly the tourism industry. So that's one of the extra things we're gonna do while we're out there. And then the next thing is we are gonna be visiting with the women's prison. And actually, Lisa, can I say the other thing, what you're gonna be helping me with? Okay. We are going out there to visit. A lot of travel and tourism authorities do this. And that is the 1-800-VISIT-NC call center. So anybody that sees the advertisements and they call in, that's where those phone calls go to, is the women's prison.
So let's back up just a sec here. Why are we going to a women's prison?
Because I'm already gonna be in Raleigh for that show.
Okay, but
And
it's
one of
nothing
your
to do with travel and tourism.
Yeah, and one of your emails, it
Yes.
said something about them putting programs together.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones that send out the
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I was missing something there for a second, that threw me there for a second. Like,
We'll go visit.
so our
family.
call centers go to this women's prison?
Yes.
That's,
And there are
okay.
there's about 24 ladies, and this is it's considered a very high-profile job. You have
I
to be a
guess so.
model prisoner, on your best behavior.
Let's hope so, let's
Yeah.
hope so.
D-
Let's
not-
hope you're one of the better
not,
prisoners.
Not have done anything probably too bad. These are probably small-time criminals that are just having to pass through the system.
You'll
And-
probably see my grandmother.
But, and it is, it's been a long process to get that appointment too, because we have to send names in advance, there are no changes, you have to bring photo ID, no purse. The snacks have to be individually wrapped, things have to be in clear bottles, you cannot bring in trays. I mean, there is 3-4 pages of rules of how you get into this place. But basically, we're gonna have a 45-minute presentation to be able to showcase Graham County. The prisoners like to be able to take things back to their cell to be able to study. They really study these pieces and they ask hard questions, and I'm kind of intimidated about, because I've heard they can really, well, how many people and how many rooms? So I'm trying to get study up even a little bit more.
We've been there. Stokoa has been to the
Okay,
women's prison.
and I was gonna be calling both of
Because
you to
you've been
get
too,
some.
haven't you, darling?
Yeah, so I'm
And
excited.
they are very
I don't
knowledgeable.
Please share some more about it.
They
Felons
really
aren't
do,
supposed
they
to hang
really,
together.
do what?
Felons aren't supposed to hang together.
We got out on good behavior. They really do study the material, and it's a lot in your presentation to them, because they really, I think, well, if it's kind of boring and bland, then they're not gonna be inclined to
So herpes,
promote.
high kicks, and toe touches. Okay, got it.
Yeah, kind of,
I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
But yeah, we actually got a lot of good, our visitation was up because of that. And it's a really good thing for travel and tourism to be doing.
I'm hoping we can see that in our numbers. I'm really excited about it. I'm apprehensive, but I'm excited.
I believe you'll be fine. Do well.
Yeah, so that's some really good news there. So 3 different things we're gonna do while we're in Raleigh to help affect our numbers.
Not looking him in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let them put you in one of those cells.
And I don't think you go on a tour, do you? I don't really want to tour.
I'm sure it'd be optional
It's not,
anyway.
yeah, you don't go on a
You
tour.
get a prison lunch?
No, I could have brought a lunch, but I'm just gonna bring snacks. And then the next thing on here, I'll just go right ahead and go into that. That is the Southeastern Fly Fishing Festival. It is happening in May at the Ramsey Center at the Western Carolina University location. There are gonna be 75 vendors. Fontana and us are having a booth side by side, which gives us 20 feet of access across the front. And there's a lot of other counties that are a little ahead of us, but by the time this gets to that date of May 17th, 18th, we will hopefully have a map, we will have a press release, and we will have folks there to talk about how great it is to fish in our
What
county.
Ron's done working on the map, isn't
Mhm.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need people that know how to fly fish.
I tell you what, Josh Stevens would be a great asset
Yeah, he's
on
with the
that.
Americans team.
He's
for
on the U.S.
the
Olympic
US
fly
Olympic
fishing.
team, yeah. And it's Josh, not Steve, it's Josh
It's
Stevens.
Josh Stevens.
Okay, it was his brother, I think I had his name.
I believe
Josh
it's just him
Stevens.
and
Yeah.
Dogger. Whatever.
Okay.
And his father's name's Mike.
Yeah, okay.
That might be where you're getting
I
that.
could have had just the wrong name, but I've been hunting around for that name.
Get in touch with Josh and see what, he can tell you, or maybe he'd go up there and
I hope
find
he'll
out for a
come
day.
fly-
Because he would
sign
probably more
autographs.
likely be there anyway.
Yeah,
You know?
signing autographs would be great.
I mean, it's not gonna do us a whole lot of, I don't know how to fly fish or where to fly fish and all that, so, somebody needs to be
Get
there
up an
to.
airplane.
Yeah.
Fly.
Well, those flies are really hard to catch.
I can lake fish, but I don't know anything
How
about
about that
fly
one?
fish.
Yeah, you fly fishing.
No.
No.
Rick Davis.
So if you know
Rick
somebody
Davis
that
is
would-
coming,
Is he
Marty
he
Maxwell?
he has already said that he's coming. Marty, I don't have down, who's the other person?
excellent fly fisher.
Billy
Really?
Knight is going to be
Oh,
there,
yeah.
Rance Schuler is going to be there, Andy Cable is going to be there. He's inviting, Sherby, what's the guy's name? What, Sherby?
Ryan Sherby.
Yes, we're inviting him, and he's with the Southwest
the-
Commission.
Yeah, he's the executive director.
And he's a big fly fisherman, and he could be possibly a potential source of some grant funding as well.
Ransom Fournette would be another one.
Ransom.
Yeah, I believe we've got the people covered on that. It sounds like we're gonna have several good people out of them.
And they've said they'll be there. Any of those people said they're for sure.
The first people that I mentioned are going to be there, from what I'm understanding. But,
I think Ransom's 878.
8788. Okay, yeah, because I've got, if you've not got your email about fly fishing, it is in your email, you guys. If you would like an email about the fly fishing, let me know. The meeting for that is
Yes.
going to be July 24th, a working meeting to kind of hash out the last bit of the map, the copy for the press release, getting together the fly fishing shops numbers so that we've got something to boom these things out to 3 weeks in advance of that show, so that there starts to be some buzz
You
in
mean
the
April?
media.
April 24th?
Yes, April 24th, yeah, and then the show again is May 17th and 18th.
Alright. So, any other updates from you, Tabitha?
Yes. Things going on in travel and tourism. Ravonda and I already talked about, we're on the 22nd, the agenda. I'm gonna find out if they'd rather us go to the workshop before the meeting. Somebody mentioned that to me today, because we can discuss more at a workshop versus at the meeting. It's more of, vote second, unanimous, that, so. My social media class, I mentioned some of that. I have enough stuff to last a month, but just so everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about with what we're gonna be doing. There is a storyboard. And what it is the accommodation partners are it's a Monday through Friday thing. The reason why we're kind of doing this is because you can get these posts together, put it on a type of a site where it does it for you, so you can spend one day getting the work done, and it'll drop it into Facebook at the date and time that you specify. So, for instance, the first one here is the lodges. So on that week, it'll be Fontana Village, Snowbird, Blue Water, Tapoca, and Iron Horse, and some of the fancies that go along with those, so it's not just business. Like the Biltmore House, the races, the dam, the Appalachian Trail, the Cherahela Skyway, the Wildflowers, Joyce Kilmer, the marinas, the beach, the primitive camping, the great food, Jasper's, Whitewater, Blue Ridge Parkway, and Solly. Those are all the beauties that kind of go along with those specific posts. So if you guys are interested in taking a look at this before you leave, you're more than welcome. So that'll take a good, and that'll rotate. It'll just keep rotating. So every 5 weeks, it'll just go back through the system. We have established a Pinterest account. If you're not sure what that is, it's kind of like clipping from a magazine and putting it in a book like you used to do, except it's online. We have 6 boards set up right now: natural beauty, camping, some of the lodges, the vacation rentals. So please go there and take a look at that. That Pinterest is linked with our website as well as the Facebook. And if you'll go to those things, you'll see these little P buttons that are red, and it'll click and it'll take you right there. And we're hoping to see some numbers really increase there's folks from Alaska that have already liked our boards, and then their friends are gonna see it and their friends. So it's really some fantastic stuff. We've already established our Foursquare account for people to check in when they come into town. Beth has met with a lot of the partners for the tourism study, and it looks like as of right now, it's going to be a lowered price than what we had anticipated because more stakeholders in the county want to be part of the study so they can share in the information. And right now, the cost is $366 versus the $550 that we were talking about last time we were together.
And that's just pending with
Lake Santila's
meeting
okay.
next Tuesday.
Okay. I did hear from the county manager's office that we are able to apply for grants because we are considered a county entity. So depending on the cycle, they're saying that we should be able to get grant monies for our building. I visited Bryson City Chamber. I've already kind of shared that with you guys. We are now members of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Our membership had lapsed over the past 2 to 3 years, so we are part of that entity. We are already on their online promotional materials online, and we will be in the next printed copy for the Blue Ridge Parkway. We have developed press packets. It's the beginning stages of a press packet. These are for mailing out to story writers, the Film Commission. I had to put 16 packets together for Andy Cable as he went before a group for the Young America Recreational Project. So we went ahead and got those together and took a little bit, but we do now officially have a press packet. So if you get a fielded question from anybody, we can pop that in the mail to them so that they have information about our area and who to contact. Smoky Mountain Host, we are a member with them, and their regional publication is up for publishing right now. And so our advertisement and copy and pictures have been submitted with them. There for events, I know this is near and dear to Billy's heart. I have found somebody that puts on events and they get to keep the money, but if you need an event to just start getting your county going, they'll come in and do the whole thing for you. You call them up and let them know there's 2 different companies. I've made calls, but I got voicemails because it was towards the end of the day.
Yeah, I've talked to
So
a
I'm
bunch of
waiting
those
on
over
some
the
calls,
years.
yeah. I forgot the names, but, so we're gonna look into maybe doing some mutters and warrior runs and see if they'll come over to our Santila bike trails and maybe do some of this kind of stuff. We have an Excel spreadsheet designed for the raffles that we've collected. I've given those to Darlene. I think there's probably close to at least 1,000, I'm hoping. And the sheet is gonna be input by her staff because we have limited staff and we've been sitting on the leads for a little bit. We'd like to get those out to everybody. Again, I penned the letter for support of the Young America Project for the county offices. You've seen the Smoky Mountain Living magazine around, the Guest Quest. And I've started relationships with all the folks that I met at the governor's conference, media people, people that we pitched ideas to for stories. We've opened up all those communications so that we can start reaping the what we've planted, start getting some crops to come in on going to the governor's conference. Joy, I would like for Joy to start calling some of our top accommodations partners to see what kind of response they've gotten from the shows, to see if there has been bookings from the show. I know John has. I mean, he had that great story from last month after the Charlotte show. But I'd like to try and see if we're getting some of that information. And then I mentioned earlier, again, training with the accommodations partners in the restaurants, especially for this visitor's profile. And for those of you that might have been here last month or not, this is a little bit about that profile study, the data collection before we go into master planning for your reading pleasure. And that is it for my update, sir.
I had one thing that I wanted to kind of question is, you said go to the workshop to meet with the commissioners, is that what you indicated, rather than the meeting?
Then the meeting, I'm gonna ask which
Believe
way
they'd have
they'd
to
rather
stay
us
for them.
go.
I believe you can go to the workshop, but they'd have to stay for the meeting. Can they vote in the workshop, or would they have to wait to the meeting to vote on something like that?
They'll have to wait till the actual board meeting.
Yeah, so you can go to the workshop and sort of tell them what you're talking about, then they can actually vote. They'd have to wait to vote on it.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say we need to do both. I mean, we really need to get a squeaky wheel, get some
Yeah.
grease kind of thing, because we need to get some movement
Okay.
forward on that, you know.
I think they're all for it, you know, the ones I've talked to, I don't think we should have a problem so far.
Well, if we work it properly, we really shouldn't be coming out of pocket, you know, significantly. I mean, it might be a long-term financial commitment, but it should be funded from our annual collections and our guests that are coming, especially if we get the additional 3%, we're
Yeah.
pretty well going.
I think, I think the 3% will go through. Anyway, let's see, do we want, since we done mention earlier about, setting up an account for a building fund, I hear a motion that we go ahead and set up an account, and that can be, how should we do that, Becky?
Just make a motion to
Alright.
establish a savings account as a capital reserve
Do it as capital
bank
reserve
account.
account? Okay.
Mhm. And
Is it a percentage
at the end
of what we
each
take
month?
in,
Yeah.
or?
It's whatever
It's
you-
whatever we want to do. We got a month where we have, we
Would
can
you
put whatever
guys-
we want in
If
there.
we had everybody paying, we'd be in good shape.
Yeah.
Would you
We
guys
can
like to
skip a
schedule a
month, it's just a
workshop?
savings account.
Would you like to schedule a workshop to get together and come up with, we're gonna have to start working on budget items. We're talking about the
We can
reserve,
schedule
the
a budget.
building, and
We're
the
right in the middle of
ATV.
a motion here, so hold on
Oh,
on
okay.
that. Anyway, so yes, we put as much or as little every month as we want into it.
What do you recommend?
Well,
Percentage
I
or-
need two motions. I need the motion to authorize me to open a savings account. And you'll need to tell me where. And then you'll need a motion to designate the amount or percentage.
We can do that one later, can't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you want me to, you could direct me on how much the initial deposit could be to transfer.
What do you suggest on that? Would have to have, that account would have to have minimum $500 deposited.
If I wanna to get the better,
$1,000.
I was gonna say, to be able to open a money market, which would give us a better interest rate, I'd probably need at least 1,000.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we give $1,000 to open the
I
account.
second it.
All in favor?
Okay, and I'll need the approved minutes
Okay.
for that. So if we can get those minutes typed and approved quickly, then I can take it to the bank.
Okay, and while you said you needed to know where, we'd like to do it at United Community Bank.
Okay.
And I think we'd be safest to do it on a percentage basis, don't y'all?
I would think,
Since some-
based,
Right, since it, because it does vary so much.
Do you want a percentage of your collections?
Yes.
yes.
So we'd like to think on that for just a minute, because our months vary, you know, how much we spend every month, quite a bit. There, so it's hard to say we're gonna put this much
And you've
in
got
every
some,
month.
you've got some
5%.
months where collections are very low and expenditures are really high.
And-
Would it be better
But-
quarterly or monthly?
Well, I was gonna say quarterly might be safer.
Yeah,
And then that way, at the end of each quarter, I can tell you how much it looks like
When
it
it's
can
back off
be.
the quarter, we could.
Yes.
yeah.
what you
That'd
could
be
do
good.
is say the percentage of collections on a quarterly basis at the board's discretion.
Yes.
And that way
that's-
you can
that's why that
determine
needs to be worded, because
each
I've-
quarter how
I've
much.
been here before when we had months where we spent way more than we brought in, so I'm real iffy on
Well, the
so.
percentage probably be, what, 5%? I mean, if our budget right now is what, 140,
You have 160,000.
160, so that's 5,
$8,000.
that's about 8 grand
a
a
year.
year, so.
We can put that in service.
But if you budget, when you do your, and what we'll need to do is do a budget
We can always
amendment for the
add
next
more.
board meeting for that. But if you have that in your mind when you're doing your budget, you'll commit to it, and it'll be
Yeah.
just like committing to your shows. You've gotta have that much money to make it.
And there's nothing that says we can't add more to
No,
it.
you can
So,
add to it and
so,
change at your discretion.
There's
minimum
nothing
of
that prohibits
5%,
anybody from donating to it if they.
5% quarterly,
Right.
at our discretion, we can add more, so.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna make a motion? Did you start making a motion for that?
No, I like that.
Oh, you made that.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we put in, do it 5% quarterly, and we can put in more at our discretion.
I second that.
All in favor? Good.
One of the things we were hoping is that we could get maybe the school group involved, the Rick Parham, and let them help, you know, just a different community involvement like that.
Get a lot of
Yeah.
donated time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
that'd be
help
great.
keep our costs.
We've got a lot of ideas and
Yeah,
stuff that
well,
we're
that's
kicking around,
wonderful.
so, yeah.
If we don't look out there, we won't ever get anywhere.
Okay, do we have anybody else?
You weren't pointing to that on the field.
No, out into the horizon. Oh, boy.
Get a first-time home buyer loan.
We have any other business board that's necessary? Anyone?
I want to bring up something. It's the beginning of the motorcycling and the motorist season. And one of the things, I went out for a ride with a large group the other day, and we encountered a lot of gravel and road safety issues from the gravel and salting and just road deterioration from the weather. Should it be the responsibility of the travel tourism to notify the road, the DOT about road safety? We had one of our riders go down.
That's something they should actually be checking themselves, I believe, but it wouldn't hurt for us to let them know, or anybody, just in the community, when you see a bad spot, let them know.
Well, I'd like to propose that the business owners that are catering to motorcyclists, that we communicate, because I've posted road conditions that I'm aware of, but I'm not aware of everything, like 215 and Wire Road, 215 North and Wire Road are both in terrible condition, and really treacherous
The
with.
person that heads up DOT is Grindstaff out of Andrews.
Is it Grindstaff? Just give me that name. I communicated with Joel Seltzer. Is he not the man?
Grindstaff's been the man to deal with. He's
Well,
a
he's
very
the-
accommodating guy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Grindstaff.
Is he?
Yeah, he's,
Well, they're right.
I'll go to the governor on behalf.
he's running scared now anyway, so.
Okay. Well, I just think it'd be really important for us to, too many of our guests go out looking for a really good time, come back, and they're all beat up, their bikes in the trailer, and they're going home, with a rented truck and a cast. I mean, I see that a lot. So, and I think it could be avoided. And I also wanted, to encourage them to quit putting that chip and seal road down and put down good asphalt, because you can't see the gravel on the chip and seal. So
I
if we,
believe that's supposed to be broomed up and stuff afterwards, but a lot of times it just doesn't happen. As you know, you'll go through a lot of it, it'll just be
One of the
rolling
guys
around.
told me, and you may know with Vicky work now, that they've changed the formula, they're using some kind of a water-based something, and
They-
it don't stick as good as the old stuff used to.
What they're doing now is just eliminating potholes, basically.
tar snakes.
Patching, they're just a patching.
And, it's roads are deteriorating. If you look at, like Highway 28 on the 4-lane out there, the right lane is completely tar snake.
There's no money earmarked for any work in Graham County or except the bypass. They just ain't got funds.
Well, that's again where we should probably
Yeah.
be squeaking
Local-
and saying,
local
look,
can take care of that.
how long is it gonna be before there is money earmarked? And if they don't realize that this is probably the centerpiece of motorized activity and tourism, then, would it be next year or the next year or the next year? I mean, we're paying an extra 30 cents a gallon for road improvements and road, and we're not getting what we're paying in. So I think we should put that on our agenda. Things that we should be addressing on a regular basis: signage, road conditions.
How do you want to do that? Did you get that?
I got signage and road conditions, but again,
Or
what's
just
the
stuff that we should
actionable?
be, just stuff that we should be looking at also. Maybe that's not necessarily in our little realm, but stuff that wouldn't hurt for us to keep an eye on too.
Well,
Or the whole community.
who's closer to the people that are visiting
Yeah.
than us?
Well, one thing you can do is when you come to the board meeting, the next board meeting, bring that up as an item to the Board of Commissioners, because DOT typically comes like in May
Yeah.
to meet with the Board of Commissioners to let them know what the upcoming projects are, and that way our board can really push DOT on those items.
Basically start with it.
And also Andy Cable can probably be a great resource there too. I'm gonna add to his list of keeping that in front of the DOT,
Yes.
that this is hampering your tourism
Mhm.
activities.
Yeah, I think it's just one thing, if I go to them and say, I've got in fact, I emailed Seltzer the other day, I said, look, this is what's occurring. And, more people are gonna get hurt, seriously hurt. But if we go as a group, then we're gonna have a lot more voice
Right.
with the DOT. And same thing with the Forestry Service and anything else that we're working on. If we go as a collective, then
Right.
they're gonna be listening
Have
to what we have to say, because we're closer to our constituents. So, I don't want to take on that responsibility, but if we don't, who does? Nobody else is really going to,
Talk to the
approach it.
commissioners about it, and I think they'll be more than happy, more than willing to go on our behalf,
So do we all wanna go, that meeting's the 22nd, isn't it? Do
I
we-
think,
you wanna-
John, it might be, if you can get away from
Yeah, I
that
will
place,
go.
it might be a good idea for you to go, since
right?
I'll be
Anything
there to
with,
show support.
yeah, anything with TNT stuff, as many people can make it, we all agree.
When's that commissioners meeting?
22nd.
What
But
time?
now the meeting was at 5, what time is the
Right.
workshop?
I'm not
Workshop's
sure.
at 4.
From 4 to 5.
It's always from 4 to 5, and then the
Has
meeting's from
anybody
5
else
to
got
whenever.
a time slotted for that you know of? I heard
Not that I'm
sometimes
aware
people can
of.
take up all the time.
They do, so what you might want to do is contact Kim and have her either put you on the workshop agenda if no one's there, already on it, or have you on the agenda for the actual Board of Commissioners meeting.
Okay.
And she's doing the agenda right now, so
I've already
she'll be
got all
gone
the-
tomorrow, so call her
Okay.
like first thing Monday morning.
Okay.
There's another part of this that needs to be addressed, which is the Forest Service roads that, like Tatham Gap's got a big slide. They said it's going to be 2 years before that's actually back open, if they,
Yeah,
they make it in 2
definitely is
years.
what it said.
Because it's unfunded, they've got to come up with the money, and
I don't
Yeah,
see how
that's-
that can be unfunded, it's a historical site, basically,
I know.
we could, that's something else we could
Don't
bring
you
up
think that may be
tomorrow.
part of it though? I mean, because that was supposed to be where the 4-lane went through and they've done all the studies, so they may just be stalling.
Yeah.
right.
One
Some of it
one
might
good
have
plus in
long
our
term.
favor is 441's gonna be open early, looks like.
Oh, good,
It'll be
yes.
open probably
And
then.
they said May 15th on the news, they're trying to get
It'll
it
be
open.
earlier than that, what I hear.
Cool.
That's
They're
good.
gonna have that bonus, and I believe they'll get it, so.
Thanks, guys.
P&J's doing it.
Yeah, they get like half a dollar or something to finish early. I
Really?
remember, I forget what the paper said, but it was up there, and I believe they were
It was on the news yesterday.
Okay, let's go to our public comment section here.
Yeah, it's just right.
I'm gonna start with Dave Artis.
Okay, first I want to thank you folks for giving me time to talk to you for a few minutes. One thing I'll say first, my wife tells me that I talk too fast.
Slow down.
And she also says, sometimes I talk a different language. And she's probably right. So I've asked Jagger to interpret for me if I screw up, if I use words or terms or whatever that,
I believe we'll be able to keep up, if not, we'll stop you.
but anyway. I'm here on behalf of the Graham County Heritage Festivals Committee. And I want to take a few minutes to remind you, I'm sure you know about the economic benefits, but to remind you the economic benefits we see of the festival. We've done a lot of research recently, good, decent, deep research on festivals held around the area, not just here locally, but the southwest and maybe further afield, southeast and further afield, on what people spend at festivals. And the basic numbers, people that aren't staying overnight, they spend an average of $30 to $75 a day on food, entertainment, buying stuff, whatever.
Did you say it's people that's not spending the night?
That's people not spending the night. People spending the night, an overnight stay, the number came out to be $56 to $145. Now, I think that $56, they must be staying with friends or relatives, because I don't think you can stay in any motel.
Yeah, no,
and
the
survive for
average
that.
tourist spends night will spend closer to 200. The people that aren't spending nights are relevant to us because we work off
Right.
tax money, from occupancy tax, so.
Well, it may be irrelevant, but it's not necessarily irrelevant, because all these things kind of tie together here.
Yeah.
So if you take these numbers, for every 1,000 festival participants, you could be talking anywhere up to $145,000 a day, or maybe more for people that stay overnight. But if you take it the other way, $30,000 to $145,000 a day, per 1,000 attendees. We've talked to the people that run the Heritage Festival here, and they are in basic agreement with those numbers. They feel that those numbers are realistic. The two-day festival, we get 3,400 to something like 5,000 attendees. Those are numbers we've gotten from the organizers. Sounds like a lot of people, but it sure isn't a lot of people. So if you even took 3,400 people for that time period, you're talking about money spent in the county, in the town and in the county, of maybe up to $300,000 a day for the 2 days. That's a lot. Now, I realize not all of it's spent in motels or hotels, but it's all spent benefiting the community, gas stations, restaurants, stores, artisans, whatever. It's all kind of in the tourism pot thing.
And so it's just 2 days, you said, that there's 3,000 some people
So 3,400.
in our Heritage Festival?
Yes.
Hmm.
In fact, the number was 3,400 up to 5,000. So we've taken a little.
How did they pull that number? I mean,
Yeah.
where did they get that
Because
data
I go
from?
to it every year and I don't.
Yeah, I go up there and
see,
I don't see it.
You know,
Okay.
I'm like you'd see 80 people running around up there, you know, and.
You're talking about a
So
two-day.
you got the information from the people who organized it?
Yes.
And are there
They-
all day
From the
long?
vendors and from the organizers. I mean, you may only see a few people, but I tell you, these numbers, we've tried to be very good, realistic about the numbers and not overflow this. We're quite realistic.
That's
So I certainly didn't want
that's
anybody
half
the opportunity.
population of Graham County, 3,000 people.
If you take all the events though that are at the Heritage Festival, the coon hunters don't usually come over for the music. So that population tends to be away where you don't kind of see it. The logging competition, the kids derby, you know, people come in just for that stuff. It's all the different events
I don't
with
know
the
if I
total
saw
Heritage
10 people
Festival.
that I didn't already know.
See, I've held booths up there and.
Well,
See 'em.
I handled traffic last year, and I tell you, there was a tremendous amount of people coming in and out. We had the devil's own job finding places for them all to park. And these aren't coming from within walking distance, so there's a lot of people. Those numbers are realistic. They don't spend all day, some come spend an hour or two and go.
You don't see them all there at one time.
Heck, no, this is a total. I'm not saying 3,400 at
Get
one
a
time.
court day here, you have a hard time finding a place to park.
But they're all here at one time.
No, we have parking spots. We have additional parking spots during the festival that aren't normally available to people. Okay, huge parking spots. The churches allow us to park there, health department, a lot of places. You may have trouble parking on the main street, well, you park on the main street, park in other places.
I'd like to point out here that these numbers are supported by our out-of-town vendors who have been in this business for 20 years, some of them more. So they've got a good idea of what kind of traffic they're seeing every day.
Okay, in addition to providing tourists and visitors entertainment opportunities, the festival provides local citizens the opportunity to, for entertainment. Local artisans can sell products. All these things may not necessarily immediately give you a hotel room, but what it's doing, it's building up the viability and the attractiveness of Graham County. I know right now probably every hotel room is full right now at the festival time, but these people come back. If they like the place, they like the county, they'll come back.
Yeah, that's something I've always found. If you can get them here once, and if it's someplace they like, they'll come back.
Yeah. We've got some other attractions here. We had the Moonshiners last year. They're committed to come back this year. It's very difficult to get them, but they've made a promise for X number of years to come. After that time, they're going to go where the money is. Okay? But for now, we have them committed to be here this year. We've also got the Hazard, Dukes of Hazard group.
Hazard Life.
Hazard Life. They're committed to bringing their vehicles. I don't know how many cars they're bringing in, maybe 7 or 8 of them. And this is going to be an attraction too. A lot of people have been on TV and movie about it, that people are going to come and do it. We also plan to do advertising, somewhat a little similar to what you're planning to do, but free advertising. We're going to find out who is coming. Very simple questionnaire. We can 4 or 5 different questions. We'll ask people where they're coming from, where they're coming, where they're staying overnight. That kind of information will be available, helpful to the festival, but also helpful to travel and tourism, and we'll obviously share that with everyone. I'll talk a little bit about the cost, I guess. It's a tradition. This festival is a tradition. It's a highlight. I mean, people, the local residents here, even though they're not staying in a hotel, this is their big entertainment. The festival is the big entertainment in the county the whole year. It's a big event. And right now, we have some danger of losing it. There's other things going on right now which are helping. The NC STEP programs that are going on, beautification. Have you seen what we've done on the corner of 129 and 143? Maybe you haven't. Right? We're starting planting now. We've got 5 or 6 places on the bypass planting. We're putting in benches. We've improved the facades of a lot of the buildings. We've provided Wi-Fi now is available to everybody. The tourists can use Wi-Fi when they come into town. That was grant money. Pedestrian crosswalks are in progress. The lights are there, and if you've seen them, they won't mark the pavement until after the pavement's been repaved, but then we'll have crosswalks with pedestrian control. There's a pedestrian connectivity plan, which is going to be throughout Robbinsville and into Graham County, and Greg's been very big on working with that. A lot of things happening now that are improving the attractiveness of Robbinsville and Graham County. And I have some real concerns that if the Heritage Festival is jeopardized, it could put a negative connotation on everything. We need $15,000 to $25,000 to run the festival. Now, this is not counting everybody working for that festival is putting in many, many, many hours, volunteer hours, late in the evening organizing, and then during that time, not only for the 2 days, but there'll be a setup to start with. There'll be 2 days operating. There'll be tear down afterwards. Tremendous. Those hours, those volunteer hours, are worth many thousands of dollars. They do it because they love the opportunity to do it. Most of the people are doing it not thinking about any kind of personal benefit that their business is going to benefit. They do it because they enjoy it. They do it because they want it put on. They do it because they want the people to enjoy it. Right now, we have committed from the town $5,000. We may have a couple of other $1,000 from other funds, but we're way short even of the minimum of $15,000. That $15,000 won't even get us fireworks. So what are the consequences? Right now, we're almost at decision time as to whether or not we can proceed, because we can't proceed if we don't have the funds for it. So what are the options? If we don't get the money, we can save a little bit of money by making a one-day festival. But if we make it a one-day festival, a lot of people aren't going to come in out of town for a one-day festival. The vendors aren't going to come in. They're not going to come in and set up and work a festival one day. They're going to look around for some place that's got a 2 or 3 day festival where they can make the most money for their time. So reducing it one day is going to have a tremendous amount of significant costs long term. Once vendors go someplace else, they're not going to come back. We've lost them. And it's hard to get more vendors coming in as it is. The next option is to cancel it. And that suggestion has been made. And it's a real possibility if we don't get funding. And if we cancel it, what's that going to do to tourism for Graham County? What's that going to do for the hotels for that weekend to Graham County? I think it's going to cause a significant problem. And it's not the kind of thing you can say, oh, well, we can skip it because people know you've canceled, we're not going to come back. people are gonna plan to go someplace else. So it's a real crunch time here for this. Our event, the event like the Heritage Festival, which isn't at Robbinsville, it's a Graham County Heritage Festival, really is heart and soul of our tourism. It's not the only thing, but it's a big part. It's what gets people in, it gets family in, and while they're here, then they learn far more about the fishing and the hiking and the waterfalls and the many, many other things that they can do around. I know motorcyclists know about the Tail of the Dragon, they don't need us to tell them about that. But there's a lot of people that come in, and I've worked the festival, people are so pleased with the festival, they make plans to come back. People that come to stay at my place, I've said, great, we'll be back, and I believe it. We really feel that what you folks are doing as a travel and tourism office, you're not Graham County hotel owners, okay? You're Graham County Travel and Tourism, is so much in line with what we're trying to do. You're doing it year round. It's almost a year-round plan for us, although we're only on show for 2 days. It's such a symbiotic relationship, I think, that we should try to work together to make sure that it's adequately funded, preferably not just adequately funded, but funded well enough to be a really good, wonderful show that will really stand out in people's memory and get them back again. We believe that because our interests are similar, that it shouldn't be any real problem if you have the money to get funding to ask, and we're asking you for $5,000 to help put on the festival this year. And I believe I don't see that it's any conflict for you to help us with that program.
What is that money going to be used for? I mean, other than, is it promoting advertisements?
No, there's many different things involved in it.
I heard
We
you
have
said
advertising.
fireworks, I say that expense, but where's the rest of this money that you're maybe going to? You said everybody's volunteers.
Yeah.
Can I interject something, just because we put on the Harvest Festival every year, and the expenses that we incur are advertising, promotion, payment to the entertainers. We don't have fireworks, but so there's there's decorations, there's just other things that really running the festival are the volunteers.
We have music for 2 days. Okay. We have all kinds of things. We have to pay for utilities, extra utilities. There's a lot of costs involved in something like this.
There's a lot.
Making signage, traffic control. I'm not involved in the nuts and bolts of the data, but I assure you, those are all valid costs, and there's almost no labor costs involved there at all. In fact, there is no labor cost, because it's all volunteers. Like the town provides people, but that comes out of their payroll. It's not billed to the festival at all.
I've been going to these Heritage Festival meetings, and there is a budget. I'm not sure if Teresa has it right now, but based off what I've seen, it's they use every penny of it. There's surprises and the other things that they've mentioned to kind of give it that county fair flair. They call little competitions, and to get people to come out, there's got to be a little bit of prize money. Some advertising, signage, all those different things, but I've come to this all my life. I'd hate to see it get down to a 1 day or even have to cancel it, because it is something that's held so near and dear to the folks of Graham County. And I would encourage the board to be able to support this, especially this year. We've got a better budget. We've got a lot of excess, and I think we're going to do a better job, or at
Have
least
you
I
went
can
to the
promise you I'll try and do a better
commissioners?
job attracting it.
Have you went to the commissioners
My
yet? seen this
understanding
money?
is the commissioners say this is a travel and tourism business, okay? And they put it off on you. They think this, you're getting the money into town, you're paying for it, that's sure. And I don't even want to be bounced off one or the other. That's not fair to us.
No, I was just asking a simple question. If
That's
you
my
went to them
understanding.
before,
Jack, is that
because
your understanding? You go to the commission and they refer it to almost.
In previous years, we've gone to the commissioners to ask that the county match what the town gives. And their thinking is that travel and tourism money is county money. So they said what you get from travel and tourism is
Becky, have you
what
got our
you get.
budget?
Not with me.
Is this not part of it?
Yeah. I mean, I have it's embedded, or has been in the past embedded in your promotion line item.
And we are in a surplus right there with that right now, right?
And I thought we had some money budgeted for fireworks. I don't have mine today.
and I apologize, I thought I had brought it because I was looking while you were talking, just so I could know. Typically in the past, TNT has given some money toward the fireworks. And the county's given some money toward the fireworks, and the town of Robbinsville's given some money toward the fireworks. That hasn't always played out that way. I know when the county got in a budget crunch a couple of years ago, they couldn't really give anything. And we got it from local business owners. And typically, the TNT budget has included an allocation for the Heritage Festival, and you're correct in the thinking that the commissioners will usually send the Heritage Festival folks back to TNT because they say it's a tourism-related activity, and that should be under their purview.
Yeah.
That's been the mindset
Sort
the
of
last
way
few
I've
years.
seen that was, I see as many locals there, I see way more locals there than I do tourists, so it looks like that they might can help out a little on that too. But have you went to local businesses too and asked for donations for it?
In the past, we've always done that.
Have you done it this year? Have you went to local businesses and said,
I
hey,
don't
this
know,
is
I
our
think that we
situation?
have some other money beyond what the town has provided. And I don't know whether they
So
come
how
from
much
donations.
has TNT given in the years past? Has it varied from year to year?
I think one year they gave about 5,000. It just varies according to what the ability of TNT to fund it.
Yeah.
But I know one year was around 5.
The first few years we were saying how much business we were gonna get off this, so we did some pretty big funding things on it to see what our outcome would be and how many people would actually come to it. And what we realized though was that I don't think, did you have anybody come to your place from Heritage Festival last year?
Well,
I didn't have.
I
Did you
think-
have anybody?
I
And so
think there
what
are
we
things-
realized was we weren't really, we're paying this amount of money, but we weren't getting the return.
But if we don't get $5,000 return off of that, we shouldn't never.
I think if you
It's
take the short sight view there,
$166,000.
We just need to look at
Gross.
everything. We need to look at gas, we need to look
Outside.
at food, we need to look at crafts, we need to look at all the shopping that they'll do, and it's an added, I'd hate to take it away.
No, I think it's a good thing.
I don't think we can look
it's
at it
definitely
as
a
what
good
we can get out of it. I think we need to look at it as being a part of the county, and we're gonna try to help something that's a county institution.
We're always taking, we need to give a little.
I'd sure hate for Graham County to be a place that didn't even have a 4th of July celebration.
Another
thing.
thing.
It was bad that one year when we didn't have fireworks and stuff, because everybody that was here was like, you don't have fireworks on 4th of July? We're like, no, we don't have fireworks.
What
Not
day
this year.
does it fall on?
It's the 5th and 6th
The
this
5th
year.
and 6th.
And what day
That's
is
Thursday and
that?
Friday. No, I'm sorry, Friday and
Friday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
I don't know
What
how
day is
many,
Thursday?
Thursday, Friday.
I don't know how many of you are aware of it or not.
Thursday.
You might have heard or you might not, but I heard yesterday that Bob Dole, you know, who,
Passed away.
he passed away.
Did he?
Yeah.
5 a.m. on Monday morning.
Really? I had no idea.
Becky, am I reading this correctly in that we've got $52,000 in our budget?
Available.
And over here on this budget section, under advertising and promotional events, we budgeted $103,000, and as of right now, we've only spent 47 of that,
Yes.
right? All right, how many more shows are you planning?
One. Well, no. There's the one that's here at the end of the month. There is the SEOPHA
That's
in
in
Louisiana.
September or October.
Oh, that's next
See, our
budget
budget
cycle.
start over.
So
Right.
we can get one first.
I don't
I
think
don't
you'll
really
hurt
think
us
there is
to give them
another one.
$5,000.
The only thing I would ask is the fireworks not be on the same night as Fontana Village's fireworks.
Well, they may not be able to afford the fireworks.
Fireworks are separate from the festival
Oh,
itself.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So that's not
Typically
including the fireworks?
Typically the town, the county, and like I said in the past, the business owners have shared the cost of the fireworks, so that'll probably come in under the Board of Commissioners. And I haven't heard any rumblings or anything coming from the town. Usually they'll start calling us
Yeah.
pretty soon to see about it.
Mhm.
But
So
then,
that's what you said, 15,000 is minimum without fireworks,
That's
25,000.
basically-
yeah.
Fireworks, we said 10,000 fireworks, might be hit by with 8.
But Dave, this is basically, travel and tourism is nothing more than another business of the county. And I've been in business all my life. When you make a sound investment, you gotta have a good return on your investment of some type. Okay? Just hear me out for a second. For $5,000, we have to generate the hospitality industry has to generate $166,000 in revenue. And we got about 400 rooms in the county, which means just to make that $5,000, it'd take us close to 5 days just to make that up. If everybody in the county was full, which that never happens.
We're getting ready to go to the commissioners and tell them we voted to charge a 1% increase on restaurant tax too, so we're gonna be getting that.
Well,
That's just the first step. When we vote to go that, then it's gotta go before the House of Representatives. I've talked to some of the people there, and that's iffy at best. So just because we voted to do it, doesn't mean
it
we're
doesn't mean
getting
we're gonna
it.
get it.
And that's a process, so it may be 2 or 3 years from now before that ever comes to fruition.
Well, I think.
We would have to rent out 1,600 room nights for that 5,000 that we give you, which,
I don't think I ever got an answer.
What you're
You
looking
go to
at is,
local
you're not gonna do that
businesses
over
yet?
that 2-day weekend, I absolutely agree. But what you're doing is it's really promoting Graham County to bring people
I think
in,
it's the right
families,
thing.
and it will translate in more hotel rooms being rented out for a longer period.
I think what some of these people are asking is, have you explored, before you come and ask for $170,000 from us, basically, because that's what it equals out to, we gotta do $166,000 worth of stuff to
For
get that
$5,000,
$5,000. Alright, so before you come ask for that money, did you explore other options, like all these local businesses, did you ask them if they wanted to donate to it? Did you ask other people, you know,
probably gonna have to do
members
that
of community business and stuff like that first?
Generally, when you go to these businesses, they're willing to give you merchandise to offer as prizes. But few of them are willing to actually pony up.
Have we checked though, I guess is my question, right? Sometimes this happens, I mean, did you go this year and see?
I don't know that we have gone this year, but let's.
I just wondered- that was
from a-
my question.
Okay, from a timing point of view, we have to make a decision very, very quickly now, whether we can hold it, because we've got commitments made. We've got advertising, we've got calendars out there advertising the festival. If we can't hold the festival, we better let people know about it very, very quickly. That's one issue, right? So we can't wait another 2 months to find out we're not going to get enough money from these people, then come back to you and get the money from you, because it'll be too late then. We can't cancel at the last minute.
I know,
That's one
why
thing.
I was
The other
asking
thing
if you
is,
explored these other
the other thing
options.
is this. I can just see us, and I've seen this too. When you go to someone, it's much better to get money out of them if you say, look, the town's given us 5,000. Travel and tourism is giving us 5,000. This company's given us some. We just need a little help to make it better. If they turn around and say, well, if travel and tourism and the county's not helping you, why the heck should I? I think that's the attitude they have. So I think we need to ask you to step out and help us now.
I tell you, everybody in here that's attending this meeting is here for a purpose. You're here to promote motorcyclism in Graham County. You're here to promote the Heritage Festival. I'm here just to be here. But if the Travel and Tourism Board, as much as we all donate our labor, we give it to it, $5,000 from every house or every rental that's in the county, you take $5,000, we give that to some orphanage or something other just to get rid of them. I mean, $5,000, they're not asking for $20,000. And I'm a member of Graham County. I've lived here all my life. And I support Graham County. And I support everybody that is in Graham County. I want to help you to do the best you can. But I think we owe it to the citizens of Graham County to go ahead and support this Heritage Festival. That's just my opinion now. That's what it's worth.
I think one of the things you've got to consider is, this is a heritage festival. And some of the things, as a matter of fact, a lot of the things that we're doing are becoming unique to Graham County. The loggers competition, you don't see that anywhere. You don't see anybody using a crosscut saw. You don't see anybody using a peavey. People don't even know what they are. You know, even the grease pig contest. You know, when I was young, people still let their pigs run wild, you County in the summertime. In the fall, you had to go out and round them up. Some of them didn't round up very well, and you had to catch them. You don't see that anywhere else, you know. And the moonshiners, those people, they're unique individuals. And
They'll be a big draw.
people will come to see them. They'll come from all over, western North Carolina, North Georgia, East Tennessee, they'll come to see them. This Hazard Life outfit, they draw great crowds. People are gonna come to that. The music that we have, that's becoming unique to this part of the world. The dancing in the street, you don't see that anywhere. You go anywhere else in western North Carolina, North Georgia, East Tennessee, you will not see people buck dancing, clogging, square dancing in the street. Those kind of things are going to attract people because this will be the only place that they can see themselves.
We're not gonna make money off this.
No, we're not
Travel
trying
trip's
to
not,
make money.
But it's,
No, we're not trying to make
it'd be
money.
close to break
We
even.
just
That's what we
want
need
to
to
offer
do.
Graham
It's not money.
County as a great place for people to come and see things that they can't see anywhere else. And they will be entertained. I guarantee you, if we get people here and see what's going on in Graham County, they, not only will they return, but they'll go home and they'll tell all their neighbors, all their family. If you want to have a good vacation or a good out-of-town trip, go to Graham County for the Heritage Festival. You'll be glad that you did. And that's the way we feel about it, and that's why we do what we do for nothing, because we believe that.
I am like the bean counter in the group, but I always tend to try to look at things on a long-term strategic plan. And yeah, will you see an immediate return on your investment? Absolutely not.
But
But you will see a long-term, if you can look at this as a promotional event, having booths that promotes the motorcycle industry, having booths that promotes all of the artisans. If you can get people who come in from outside, maybe they'll only come in for the day this year. But if they
They might
see
decide
something
to.
that they like, maybe they're hikers or they like, whatever, fly fishing, then they'll be more likely to come in and stay overnight next year. And one thing I would encourage is encouraging your booths, whoever you have, to keep demographics and keep numbers and report those numbers back to your Heritage Festival Board as what their sales were, so that next year you can go back and say, we sold this much in food, therefore the county reaped this much in sales tax revenue, which enables me as the finance officer, when I stand up on those Monday nights giving my report, I can say, gee, here in September or October, we saw this much bump in sales tax revenue because we know that this happened and occurred in July, so that if the Heritage Festival has to come to the commissioners next year for money, I can turn around and say, but it reaped you this much in sales tax revenue. Okay, so I think if you can look at it as a promotional event, you won't get immediate returns, but you will get some good long-term bump in your tourism activity if you promote it and do it right and treat it like one big advertising event for the county, so that people will want to come back and say, gee, I saw this, but I want to see more. And I'll shut up.
I'd like to just intercede something too. Actually, Tabitha was over at the center today for a meeting prior to this about the Blue Ridge Music Trails guidebook, which is coming out. And they gave us some pretty, do you have those figures? They're not on there. But at any rate, they gave us the economic impact figures of just the venues that were studied as it relates to music. And it was 2.9 room stays per music event, whether it be a festival or something like what the center has. But the economic benefit is, while it's here, but again, like you said, Becky, it's also long-term and repeat, because there's people that come to a festival every year. So the economic benefit of music or entertainment or festivals and those types of things are much larger than just the initial
I've
dollar.
got an article here that I got out of the Asheville Citizen. Tabitha, did you give me one?
Sure.
Copy of that. It speaks to that directly. They've done the research on that, and they talk about what the economic benefit is. And they're talking about music festivals here, but understand that we, as part of our festival, we do have a lot of music. We have music from noon until 11:15 on each day, so there's a definite economic impact that goes along with this.
And
It's
it's
not just
popular.
something we've conjured up and we pulled out of the air.
Well, and this article is about the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area study about music venues and the Blue Ridge Music Trail as well. I think the other thing that I was glad to hear you talk about the heritage and how some of the events that we have at the Heritage Festival, you can't, they're not offered other places. And if we don't preserve that heritage, then it will go away. And part of that preservation is keeping events alive and ongoing.
And, excuse me, part of my public comment was on this and stuff, and my deal on this is, what did you guys do last year to promote yourselves for the Heritage Festival? I mean, did you put it out on your websites that, hey, we've got the Heritage Festival, hey, this year you guys can put on your websites that we have the Moonshiners, that we've got the Hazard Life people. I mean, you guys need to promote. We can bring the people, they can bring the people in with the festivals. You need to promote your places to get them to stay. And as she said, even if it's not this time, maybe it's next time. Have you guys have booths out there. Get your booths out there. Put your literature out there. Show them good specials out there. You need to promote yourselves. I mean, I don't know if you have. I'm not saying, so I'm not getting on you. I mean, but I'm saying, they can bring the people and you have to get them to stay in your place. That's your business, So, I mean, and that was pretty much everybody said, the support I was going to say. But I support y'all to support this too. And I agree. I really like what you had to say, Becky. It definitely look at it as a promotion for our county.
I believe that, it's important that it continue. So I'm gonna make a motion that we do support it with the $5,000 to help out. Even though, we are full already, and we do feel, but it is important that it happens and continues to happen. Because I've lived here most of my life too, so.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? You've got it.
Thank you, I do appreciate it.
It's kind of like that poinsettia I bought from the wrestling team. I knew it would die, but I knew there was a greater good.
Okay, let's see. Guys, just really quickly here, because I've got another meeting to go to, and I'm sure everybody else is getting hungry here. So, we have any more public comment?
Dave, you've gone, I just checked with Beth, she's good, Lisa's good. Jack, did you have anything else?
pardon?
Did you have anything else?
That's the point of
Are you
me
good?
asking them right now.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any public comment?
I left off one thing that I need the board's kind of feedback on real quick, or possibly a motion. That American Spirit Television, they're planning to be here in June in the area to do some filming.
Yeah, they filmed here before.
For that $2,000 investment for 13 weeks of promotion. I would like to see if you guys need for me to get any more information or do a polling to go forward with that.
I'll get more
advertising.
information, because you only sent the email out this afternoon.
Yeah, I
American
actually
Spirit
printed it off.
Yeah,
Something
I mean, it's too short a notice.
Okay.
Wanting to come to
They
us
keep
for
wanting to come.
$2,500.
These
Yeah.
guys said they've not had much luck with it.
No, they were in a few years ago, and I don't know, it was I believe they worked with Greg McCoy that's there, making Sport Box Greg. Maybe we could talk to Greg and see what he got out of
Well,
it.
he's the one that kind of turned me on with them and made that connection for us, because he does get, every time it plays again on television, he gets bookings.
That's maybe,
They told me, the people who, what's her name, Lisa? But she said that Ron and Nancy, because they called us to do them, it wasn't something we could afford to do at the time. They said that Ron and Nancy participate, or did, so that would be somebody you can talk to.
Yeah, let's get some more information on
Okay.
that, because no, I believe nobody's seen it, that what you said, the email just come in this
I
afternoon.
just got the email this afternoon.
Yeah, let's look a little harder and see. So let's just hold off on that, and maybe after, give us a day or two, we do a poll or something
Okay.
on it. Okay, is there anything else?
When is the budget workshop?
Should try it down.
For next,
What was it?
Our next meeting is going to be Thursday, May 9th, because we're running short. I was gonna ask these guys if they wanted to do a workshop, because there's lots of things to discuss to get ready for budget. I'm already having to work with Becky. They had a mandatory meeting this past week with department heads, so we need to kind of start getting together for budget workshop. Yippee! So just be looking at your calendars, and I'll send you out an email.
Yeah, we'll see what everybody's stuff looks like. It fits into everybody's busy time. We'll try to find the best date that everybody can actually attend.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
You need to sign these